It really shows how easy it is to pull a pork butt on a Weber grill. I start out with a pork butt. I usually find these things for like 99 cents a pound during the year and throw a couple of them in the freezer. Then I just I kind of pat all the liquid off it after I open it. And then I try to keep it pretty simple because we're going to be putting barbecue sauce on it later. So I just put a little coat of this Jane's Crazy Salt on the outside of it, fairly thin coat. And then I also put a little bit of that Tony's Creole seasoning. And you don't want to over season it because it's going to have the sauce on it later. So I just rub a little bit on the bottom of it, and then I'll flip it over and do the fat side also. Now these butts, I usually wait till I find them for like 99 cents a pound during the year, and then I'll just throw a half a dozen of them in the freezer to throw on the grill like this. So then you just start by throw 60 coals in the chimney there and get that going. Then set the grill up for indirect cooking with a drip pan and give the coals a couple minutes to get warmed up. Then you just have to divide them equally between the little containers on both sides of the drip pan there, so you get a indirect cooking, and it just kind of slow roasts it. I think this old Weber grill's probably cooked well over 100 of these pork butts. These Weber grills are really, a great thing to have if you're going to do any grilling. So then just put the grate on and let it warm up for a little bit. Then I got this old wire brush. You're not supposed to use wire anymore, they say, but it's all I got right now. So I use that, and then I just take a piece of cloth and go over it to try and make sure that there's no little wires left or anything. Then just throw the seasoned up butt on the grill. And I like to throw just a couple chunks of hickory to give it just a little bit of smoky flavor to get going. And then just cover it up. And you wait an hour and then open it back up. And it's time to add some more charcoal to it. Now usually I add about 6 charcoals to each side of the grill every hour. And that keeps it, cooking nice. And if it's colder out, sometimes you may have to add a little bit more, but I leave it with the vents open, and it cooks good with 6 usually. So here we are. This is the next hour, and it's starting to smell really good. And it's time to add the second batch of coals to it. So then just throw them in, close it up, walk away for another hour. And then here we go again. I'm probably boring you to death by now, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of how long it takes to cook one of these things. So here we are with the next batch of briquettes in it, and we're ready to all set to go for another hour. And this is the next batch of briquettes. It's really starting to smell good and look good now. I mean, it's starting to get ready to start coming apart. But you want to get you actually overcook pork when you pull it, just so it all kind of falls apart. Now this one here didn't have a lot of fat in it, so maybe a little bit tougher to pull apart. And in the meantime, my wife's inside getting the ingredients ready. Now the sauce ingredients comes from the Weber Big Book. But I did find a copy of it online that I will post a link to on food.com, I think. So you just start by, melting the butter and sauteing the onions a little bit to tenderize them. And then she takes another bowl and mixes up the ingredients. I guess the main ingredient in it is ketchup. And it uses a couple cups of ketchup there. And years ago, I found this really neat measuring cup that just kind of slides. That works good for this stuff. You just slide it to the amount that you need. Let's say you need a cup. You slide it to the 1 cup mark, and then you fill it up. And when you're ready to empty it, instead of trying to shake the stuff out, you just push the bottom of the measuring cup up, and it just comes right out and ready for the next ingredient. It's a really handy little thing I found online. So then let's see, there's ketchup in here. Then there's a batch of mustard. So that's the next ingredient that she puts in. Same thing, just fill up the cup and then squeeze it into the bowl. And let's see what's next. I think she's going to put in, I think it's apple cider vinegar that goes in next. And this is just really a basic, simple Western Carolina barbecue sauce that we've really found to be our favorite when we do these pulled porks. Then there's a couple of cups of a dark brown sugar that go in it also. And a little bit of, I think that's a Worcestershire sauce. Put a couple shots of that in there. And then a couple shakes of Tabasco go in there to give it a little bit more flavor. And you just, stir it all up, mix it together good. And in the meantime, the onions have, they cook down so they're getting soft now. So you just add this, the rest of the ingredients to the pot with the onions in there. And I think you cook it down for maybe about 10 minutes. And then we just let it sit on the stove until the pork is done. In the meantime, I go out to check the pork again. There's like 150 birds lined up on the electrical lines. I think the smell of the pork has drawn them to the wires outside my house, and they're just sitting there staring at me. I can't believe it. Pretty funny sight to see. So anyhow, here we are. I'm outside. I'm going to check the pork again, and it's really starting to look pretty good. So this is going to be the last batch of coals that go in there. Usually it takes about 6 hours. This is with about an 8-pounder, I think. And usually it takes about 6 hours to cook it so that it hits a good temperature. And then all of a sudden it started raining. It's like the first time in 6 weeks we've had rain. Unbelievable. So after 6 hours, I'm just going to check the temperature on it. And it looks like it's that 198, just about 200 degrees. So that's at a point where it should really start to fall apart. So it's time now to, bring it inside and let it sit for maybe 10, 15 minutes before you do anything to it. So as you can see, it's cooked up really nice, and I just wish that you could smell what this smells like right now. It's still fairly warm. I didn't really wait that long for it, but so it's time to start pulling it apart. So instead of using my fingers and getting them burned, I'm just going to take a couple big old metal forks and try to pull it apart and just shred it up into smaller pieces. Now, this one was really an extremely meaty piece of pork. It did not have that much of a fat line through it, so it's a little bit tougher to pull apart, but it's really it's going to be a real good tasting meat with a very low fat content. So it takes probably 15-20 minutes to get one of these things all ripped apart and shredded up. And if you wait a little bit longer and let it cool a little bit more, you can do it by hand, and actually you can do it a lot quicker by hand, but I'm kind of in a hurry tonight. So, and there you can see that nice piece of bark on top. That's all the skin that's all cooked up, kind of kept the juices in, whatnot. So just take your time and pull it apart, break the meat up into smaller shreds as you're going, and it really doesn't take all that long. And I find that this is also a real good time to test some of those really nice crispy pieces around the outside edge of it too. So here it is. It's basically that's what's left of it, the skin and the bones. And then I got the shredded pork there, and now I just take the sauce that we made up a little while ago and just pour that on top of it. You can save a little bit out to mix on a sandwich later if you want. But we kind of just like to mix it all in here and get all the flavor throughout the meat. Now you find that it's going to taste better the next day, actually, after it soaks in and the vinegar tenderizes the meat a little bit more. But it still does taste really good, when it's done like this. And there it is, a pulled pork sandwich on a potato roll. And my wife actually likes to throw coleslaw on top of hers. So we just do them open face and, enjoy them like that. And thanks for watching. Please subscribe.